Now, it's a really complex sort of subject for people like myself to understand quantum physics,
Yeah.
but the book manages to make it possible for someone like me who's not a scientist or engineer to read the book and still be completely engrossed in it without having to have that deep understanding of physics. I mean, there's pages in it. I've got some tabs sticking out of the book where I put bits in I was going to ask you specifically about. We might get time to come on to it, but there's references there to simple Pythagoras's theory, and then you did this great one with the torch explaining, the speed of light, and then and so it makes it accessible to people like me. And then there's huge equations at the back that, to be honest, I got a bit lost in. So how did you manage to make it relevant to all those different audiences?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see as well, right? If people agree with you. But I think it was my focus is the main thing. I like in terms of like conceptually how I thought about it. I think whenever it comes to trying to explain an abstract subject, a subject that's kind of like physics, which you can't just most of the time just show somebody this is it. Is you have to find a way for them to visualize it. And so that's where it came in, that scene you described, where I'm trying to describe the fact that light is always going 300,000 miles per hour, kilometers per second faster than you, no matter how fast you're going, whether you're going, stationary or whether you're going 298,000 kilometers, still going that much faster. So I use a football stadium example so people can almost see it. And then I think the second thing is giving it stakes, almost giving it meaning, right? And so by taking these physics concepts and embedding them within a story where you have two characters' lives, or more than two, but two main characters' lives, literally depend on them understanding these concepts, it makes the reader a little bit more invested in understanding it too. And then I think, it's interesting, isn't it? It would be really fun to see what the reactions are. The third step I did was just showing it to people who told me they hated science, and seeing what their reaction is. The time when I realized, okay, I think I've done a decent job here, is the fact that the publishing industry, which is kind of, most of the people I interact with tell me that they ran away from physics and science when they were the kids. The fact that they've embraced the book, and Penguin is putting everything behind it, and Netflix believes in it as well. I'm really pleased with that.
So in the world of science and maths, and physics and all of those areas, maths really is known as the language that physicists use to describe what's going on with the world.
Yeah.
You've given us a couple examples, but can you explain a bit more about how that is? How is maths, explaining what's going on? It's kind of I think when we do sort of junior level maths at school and sort of GCSE or whatever, it doesn't kind of give you that understanding that that's explaining what's going on in the world, but you kind of really get that across in the book. Give us a couple more examples on that.
Yeah, so I have to say, the book one of The Upper World focuses on a little bit more kind of Einstein's relativity. Book two is going to be purely quantum mechanics, and those are the two branches of physics. Now, quantum mechanics is all about what happens at the very, very micro level, right? Sort of, it turns out, me and you, we can see each other's faces, but if you zoomed into the hair on my eyebrow, you then see molecules, and then if you zoom into them, you'd see atoms, and then if you zoom into them, you'd see a nucleus with sort of, let's say, an electron, for instance. But if you zoom again, it turns out that an electron is just made of something that we can't describe in terms of a substance. There's no analogy I can give you that explains the most fundamental unit of reality. There's nothing I can give you that will feel familiar except for number. So quantum theory is literally based on this idea that at the most fundamental level of reality, things are made out of numbers.